Welcome to the Healthy Lifestyle Podcast, brought to you by Telehealth FX, your source for online GLP-1 weight loss and testosterone replacement therapy services. Visit telehealthfx.com to get medically guided access to weight loss peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide delivered right to your home. That's telehealthfx.com. Now, here's your hosts. Today, we're doing the question nobody wants to ask out loud. And I mean that literally. This is the thing people type into Google at 11 at night instead of asking their doctor in the daylight.
How long do I have to stay on this?
That's the one. And underneath it is the real question, which is scarier. What happens to me if I stop?
And I'll tell you why people don't ask it out loud. Because they're afraid the answer is forever. And forever feels like a trap.
So we're going to answer it honestly today. Not the marketing answer, not the doom answer, the actual data, including the parts that are uncomfortable and the parts that almost nobody reports on that genuinely change the picture.
And the usual reminder, which really matters today. This is educational content, not medical advice. Nothing in this episode is a reason to start, stop, or change a medication. That is a conversation with the licensed provider who knows your history. Please, especially on this topic, do not make a decision based on a podcast.
Let's start with the uncomfortable data, because I think respect means leading with the hard part.
Okay, there's a study called the Step 1 extension. The original trial ran for 68 weeks, and people on semaglutide lost an average of 17.3% of their body weight, really substantial. Then researchers took a group of those participants, 327 of them, stopped the treatment, and followed them for another full year to see what happened.
And what happened?
They regained about 2/3 of what they'd lost. In terms of the numbers, they came back up about 11.6 percentage points, ending the study at roughly 5.6% below where they started.
So a year later, most of it was back.
Most of it was back. And it wasn't just the number on the scale. The cardiometabolic improvements, the blood pressure, the cholesterol markers, the blood sugar, those drifted back toward baseline too.
And there's a second trial that shows the same shape.
SURMOUNT-4, with tirzepatide. Participants lost around 20.9%. Then some were switched to placebo, and that group regained substantially. Different medication, same pattern. So this isn't a fluke of one study.
Okay, I want to sit here for a second instead of rushing past it. Because if you're listening and you're on one of these medications, that probably just landed like a rock.
It should be allowed to land. That's real data, and it deserves to be taken seriously.
But here's where I get frustrated with how this gets reported. Because those two facts get turned into headlines that say the drugs don't work. And that is a genuinely wrong reading of the study.
Say why.
Because think about what that study actually shows. It shows the medication worked. It worked while people took it. When they stopped taking it, it stopped working. That's not a scandal. That's how medication works.
Nobody publishes a shocking headline that says blood pressure returns after patients stop taking blood pressure medication.
Right. We'd say, well, obviously, that's what treatment for a chronic condition means. And obesity is classified as a chronic condition. The researchers on that very study said their findings confirm the chronicity of obesity. That's the actual conclusion. Not the drug failed. The condition is chronic.
And here's a fact I think is enormously important for anyone carrying shame about this. That rebound pattern isn't unique to medication. The same thing happens across every method we have. Lifestyle intervention, bariatric surgery. All of them show rebound proportional to how much was lost.
So the regain isn't evidence that you picked the wrong tool.
The regain is evidence that your body defends its weight, which is exactly what we talked about in our very first episode of this series. Your biology doesn't care about your goals.
Now, here is the part almost nobody reports, and I think it's the most important sentence in this entire episode.
Go.
In that Step 1 extension, during the year after they stopped the medication, participants also had no active lifestyle intervention support. That's stated right in the study. The lifestyle support ended when the medication ended.
So they took away the medication and the support system at the same time and measured what happened.
At the same time, which means that study is not a picture of what happens when you stop a medication. It's a picture of what happens when you stop everything at once. Those are very different scenarios, and the second one is the one most headlines describe as if it's inevitable.
That's not a small caveat. That's the whole frame.
And there's one more number from that extension worth knowing. Even in that scenario, with everything withdrawn at once, roughly 48% of participants still held on to a clinically meaningful amount of weight loss a year later.
Nearly half, with no support at all.
Nearly half. So the honest summary isn't everyone regains everything. The honest summary is that most people regain most of it when everything is taken away simultaneously. And even then, a lot of people don't.
Okay, so let's do the myths, because this topic has some sticky ones. Myth 1, you're on this forever. It's a life sentence.
The honest answer is we don't fully know yet, and I'd rather tell you that than pretend.
What we know is that these medications treat a chronic condition, and they work while you take them. What's genuinely being studied right now is whether some people can taper, whether a lower maintenance approach works for some people, and what predicts who does well after stopping.
And there's real research happening on the tapering question specifically, whether coming off gradually changes the outcome versus stopping abruptly.
Which is an open question, not a settled one. And I want to be really clear about something. We are not going to tell you how to taper. We're not going to suggest a schedule or an approach. That is a prescribing decision with your provider. Full stop. And anyone on the internet handing out a taper plan for a prescription medication is doing something they shouldn't.
There's also a gap in the science worth naming. A recent systematic review noted that no large trials have really tracked people beyond about a year after discontinuation. So what happens at year 3, year 5? We're honestly still finding out.
Which is a strange thing to say about a category this popular, but it's the truth.
Myth 2. If I regain, I failed.
No, and I want to say this as directly as I can. If your body pulls weight back after you stop a treatment, that is your physiology doing exactly what physiology does. It happens after surgery, it happens after dieting, it happens after medication. The universality of it is the proof that it isn't a character flaw.
Myth 3. The regain proves the whole thing is pointless.
This one bothers me because it leads people to not treat something treatable. Think about what those participants got. More than a year at a substantially lower weight. More than a year of better blood pressure, better blood sugar, better lipids. That time wasn't erased. And remember from our first episode, health benefits start showing up at just 5% loss. That extension group was still around 5.6%.
Today's episode is brought to you by Telehealth FX, your source for online GLP-1 weight loss and testosterone replacement therapy services. Visit telehealthfx.com to get medically guided access to weight loss peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide delivered right to your home. That's telehealthfx.com. Now back to the show.
Below baseline a year after stopping with zero support.
So even the worst case studies still ended in the range where health markers improve.
Even the worst case. That's not nothing. That's the opposite of nothing.
Myth 4. And this is the dangerous one. I'll just power through with willpower once I stop.
That is precisely the scenario the Step 1 extension tested. No support, just people and their willpower. And we have the results. This is the one myth where the data is genuinely unkind, and I'd rather you hear it from us than learn it the hard way.
All right, practical segment. Somebody's listening, they're on one of these or considering starting, and this question is sitting on their chest. What do they actually do?
Point 1, and this reframes everything. Ask about the maintenance plan before you need one. Not at month 18 when you're thinking about stopping. At the beginning. Ask your provider, what does the long-term picture look like for me? And what happens if I want to come off at some point? A good provider has thought about this. If they haven't, that tells you something about the program.
Point 2. Whatever you do, don't stop on your own without telling anybody. That's the version with the worst outcomes, and it's incredibly common. Usually because of cost or because somebody felt embarrassed to say they were struggling. Your provider has options you don't know about. Say something.
Point 3. Build the thing that doesn't get withdrawn. The medication may or may not be permanent. Your protein habits, your resistance training, your sleep, your relationship with food, nobody can take those away from you. The extension study stripped away the medication and the support. You get to keep the support if you build it into your life instead of renting it from a program.
I love that framing. Rent versus own.
And point 4. Protect your muscle, specifically. This is the one people underrate. When you lose weight, some of it can be muscle if you're not deliberate. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. If you come off the medication with less muscle than you started, your body is working against you at a lower baseline. Prioritizing protein and doing resistance training during treatment is an optional garnish. It's the thing that changes your after.
And this is where we'll mention the folks who help make this show possible, because it's the most relevant episode yet for them. The whole point of medically guided weight loss is that somebody is thinking about your long-term picture, not just writing a prescription and disappearing. Telehealth FX pairs licensed providers with ongoing support, which is exactly the kind of relationship where a maintenance conversation actually happens. If you're on this path or thinking about it, go to telehealthfx.com and ask them the maintenance question directly. The answer will tell you a lot.
Common mistakes. Mistake 1, stopping abruptly because of cost without telling your provider first. There may be options, different products, appeals, assistance programs. Silence forecloses all of them.
Mistake 2, treating month 1 after stopping is proof of anything. Bodies fluctuate. One bad week isn't a trajectory.
Mistake 3, waiting until you've already stopped to think about maintenance. The habits that carry you afterward are built during treatment, not after. That window is the opportunity.
And mistake 4, the shame spiral. Somebody regains a bit, feels humiliated, and disappears from their provider entirely, which is the exact moment supervision would have mattered most. If you're in that spot right now, please go back. Nobody there is judging you. They have seen this 1,000 times and they have actual tools.
And the nuance we always honor. Everybody's picture here is different. Some people will be on this long-term, and that's a completely reasonable medical decision, the same way people take medication long-term for lots of chronic conditions. Some people will taper under supervision. Some will stop and do well. Some will stop and restart later, and restarting isn't failure either. Your path is a conversation with your provider, not a rule.
If this episode gave you language for something you've been anxious about, share it with somebody who's been avoiding this question. This is the conversation people are having with a search bar at midnight instead of with a human.
And tell us in the comments, have you stopped? What happened? What do you wish someone had told you first? This is one where your experience genuinely helps the next person more than any study we can cite.
All right, 3 key takeaways. Number 1, the regain data is real, and you deserve to know it. In the Step 1 extension, people regained about 2/3 of their weight loss in the year after stopping, and their metabolic improvements drifted back too. The same pattern shows up with tirzepatide in SURMOUNT-4.
Number 2, and this is the part that gets left out, in that study, the lifestyle support was withdrawn at the same time as the medication. That's a picture of stopping everything at once, not a picture of stopping a medication. And even in that scenario, about 48% of people held on to a clinically meaningful loss.
Number 3, regain isn't a personal failure. The same rebound shows up after dieting and after bariatric surgery, proportional to how much was lost. It's biology defending a set point, and the study author's own conclusion was that it confirms obesity is a chronic condition, which means it's treated like one, not cured and forgotten.
And your one action step for this week, if you're on one of these medications or you're starting soon, ask your provider one question. What is my maintenance plan? Ask it now, not at the end. And if you're not on one, ask any program you're evaluating the same question before you sign up. How the answer sounds, thought through, or improvised on the spot, tells you what kind of care you're actually buying.
Plan the ending at the beginning.
Remember, this is educational content, not medical advice. Never start, stop, taper, or change a medication based on something you heard on a podcast. Talk to your provider.
If this was useful, subscribe so you catch every episode. And we'll see you next week on the Healthy Lifestyle Podcast.
Take care of yourselves. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to visit our sponsor, Telehealth FX, your source for online GLP-1 weight loss and testosterone replacement therapy services. Go to telehealthfx.com to get medically guided access to weight loss peptides like semaglutide and tirzepatide delivered right to your home. That's TelehealthFX.com. See you next time.